Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Scott from SamCart, and we are here with a very awesome special guest, Justin Odisho, from Justin Odisho, the YouTube channel there. So, Justin, thanks for coming out, man. What's going on?
Hey, thanks for having me. Excited to talk.
Yeah, man. No, for sure. So anybody who is unfamiliar with Justin, Justin owns and operates one of the biggest YouTube channels out there that's sort of in like the video editing, video creation sort of space. And so, Justin, why don't you kick us, just do like the elevator pitch version of who you are, what you do, and, you know, kind of who you serve.
Sure. Yeah, I actually run into the same issue you do sometimes. It's like Justin Odisho from Justin Odisho.com, but
Right. Yeah, I was gonna
it
say, right. Yeah.
it depends on who I'm talking to. But you did a pretty good description. I
Nice.
teach photo and video editing, specifically Adobe softwares like Premiere Pro, After Effects, and Photoshop, which have tens of millions of users and growing. And I would say that I am one of the top educational resources for software such as Adobe Premiere Pro, Photoshop, After Effects, Lightroom, mostly focused on the video side of things. The Premiere Pro is what's most popular, but even if you use a different video editing software, you know you can still learn a thing or two about video production, regardless of the software. So
Yeah.
yes,
Heck
that's
yeah.
what I do. But if I'm
Love that.
talking to like someone's parents who don't use the internet, I have a harder time describing it.
Dude, whenever I like people ask what we do, because obviously, you know, like software and doing things online, like that kind of stuff, I always have two answers. I literally always do. I think if I feel like someone's got an idea, I'll tell them about SamCart and stuff like that. But if not, I always just said, I work at a software company and I just like leave it. Like that's all I got. You know, it's like, I don't need to go any deeper. But no, that's great, man. I was just, we were saying before on air that, you know, your stuff is something that actually helped me as we were learning Premiere and got really serious about our own video content and everything. So absolutely love that. It's fun to get a chance to chat in person. And yeah, I think what would be awesome for our audience is basically, you know, you are a creator. You are someone who is, you know, you have reached what a lot of people, most people would view as sort of like the mountaintop. You're probably going to eclipse 1 million subscribers on YouTube this year, which is freaking awesome. You know, mentioned you've been doing this full time now for a couple of years, which is freaking awesome. And yeah, just all that stuff. I think it'd be super fun to just talk about how you got the idea to do this, how you launched, what roadblocks you hit along the way, and kind of like where you're taking this business now from there, and sort of focusing on the side of things where, you know, I'm sure you could talk about producing videos for a long time. You've probably done a lot of that, but now let's shift gears and talk about like the business. You know what I mean? Let's talk about how are you, where did you make that turn, that transition from sort of being something where you have a day job to now I'm doing this full time, and you know all that kind of stuff. That how do you power this business kind of on the back end? Because I think that's a lot of what our folks are here to learn about. So let's start with this. What did you do before you were a full-time YouTuber?
Okay, sure. So I had a couple of regular jobs. Like I started posting on YouTube pretty young as a teenager. So you know the jobs I had were I worked at a gym, I worked at a retail store, and
Nice.
then obviously I was always on the internet anyway. So I did like make a little random money sometimes as a kid. You know, doing some flyer designs and stuff like that. I would go on forums and you know make $50 here and there, just like
Yes, love that.
doing Photoshop designs and even like dabbling in like weird affiliate survey things to try to
Yes,
get
dude, we've all been there. Oh yeah, for
yeah
sure.
to try to get free like Xbox games. I think maybe like did that for a year and got like one Xbox game.
Yes, I love that.
But yeah, I went to school, so the things I was juggling were my I didn't work at the gym too long. Then I went to the retail job, and the things I was juggling was working that job and going to school. And I wasn't
Nice,
really focused on YouTube as a business. It was just a hobby I started
love
in
it.
like 2000. It actually goes before that, like 2006, 7 is how I got into video editing.
Oh wow.
You
Okay, yeah.
know, yeah, like just like I said, like these online forums and stuff. A lot of times they'd have like a design section. My older brother had downloaded some of I think he had After Effects and Photoshop, and I started
Nice.
playing around with them.
Were they legit
And
copies, or did you pirate stuff like I know I did in
uh,
2006?
they were legitimate. They were legitimate.
Nice. Okay, there you go. Sweet. Yeah.
If any
That's
of
awesome.
Adobe is listening, they were legitimate.
They were
And
legitimate. That's right. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Adobe. I can tell you for sure my first copies of your stuff were not. They are now, but they weren't when they started. So.
well, actually, back then they did not used to be. Now they're a monthly subscription, just like everything
Yep.
has turned into a monthly
Oh, for
subscription,
sure.
like
Yep.
music,
Creative
whatever.
Suite.
Back then, it was just like if you want Photoshop, you got to pay like $1,200 up front or
Oh
something like
man,
that.
I
Yeah,
know.
you get the 5 CDs, you get the product key, and all that stuff.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So
All right. So
I think
when did
they
that?
actually
Oh, go
probably
ahead.
converted. Sorry to cut you off. I
No,
think
yeah.
they actually probably converted like a lot of pirate users to legitimate users when
Oh,
they
dude, that's me.
lowered
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
100%. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So awesome. So when did that transition to like when did you start that YouTube channel? Or when did you start getting serious about like, all right, I'm gonna make this YouTube channel, teach in Premiere, and when would you consider that you kind of like kicked that off?
Okay, so I started this YouTube channel in 2011,
Nice.
and the reason I started it was because it's not my first YouTube channel I started, but uh, I just enjoyed posting stuff. This is before monetization. This is before YouTube was even really anything but like a site to share videos. I
Yeah.
mean, that's still what it is, but um, I uh, I had been I was just experimenting with like, what if I like post this video game trailer that I ripped off some other site,
Nice.
and it's kind of fun. I wasn't making any money, but I was like, oh, that's cool. Like 10,000 people watch this because I posted it first, and like I put HD in the title. And
And so everybody's coming to yours instead of that person's.
yeah, and I think I was trying to like somehow like link it to my survey affiliate thing so I can get free games. So
Yes. Oh
I
man.
somehow stumbled onto this funnel, but
I love
it
that.
wasn't. But I kept running into trouble. Obviously, that's not sustainable. You
Oh,
know,
for sure. Yeah.
copyright.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
I was like, it's kind of fun posting on YouTube, but obviously I can't do this thing. So I said, what? At the time, I was into like Photoshop and creating little designs in Photoshop. So I looked around on YouTube, and it seemed like there was only like one or two channels, and it seemed like there was an audience for it. And when I watched those channels, I thought that's nothing like quite above the skill level that I could do. So
Right.
I felt like maybe I could try that. So I started a new channel. Just it wasn't even like teaching. My very first video I ever posted was like putting a fake tattoo on someone. There was no talking. I was just kind of like recorded myself working in Photoshop and like
I love it. That's awesome.
this thing. Yeah. But
That's
that was
awesome.
2011. But I then, that was the start of my channel actually. But the start of my channel as a business and a conscious effort was like 2016.
Sick. Awesome. All right. So yeah, talk to me about that point. Obviously, that's a big gap. That's 2011 to 2016 can be, years where you're just messing around, you're having fun, you're obviously doing something you're kind of passionate about, right? And so like what precipitated the switch and what changed after you sort of decided, all right, listen, I think this can be something. You know what I mean? Like let's chase this down.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of the idea. Obviously, there's a long time between 2011 and 2016, but in that time, I was working, paying my way through college,
Nice.
and in college, just because that's just what everyone has told you
That's
to
what you
do.
do,
So
man. Yeah. I get it.
yeah.
That's what you do, right? Yeah. Yeah.
So it was kind of hard because it's obviously like, nah, didn't have any money, so I couldn't really afford the classes that fast. So I was going kind of slow. I would take a few classes. I would work part time. I think like
Right.
my 4-year degree was like a 6-year degree by the time I
Nice.
finished.
Nice. Yeah, man.
But what precipitated the switch was I was getting to my last year in my degree. I didn't go to school for anything like video or marketing or advertising related. I
Nice. I
just
love that.
went
Yeah.
for IT,
All
just
right.
because supposedly that's a good field.
You come out and make money, I guess, right? Yeah, that's what we're all told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, but it was nice. I still had like some classes on computer and network related things, but a little bit more
Sure.
technical. So it was about my last year, and all of a sudden I said, okay, well, I'm about to graduate, and I still I still can't see myself like getting a job somewhere like with an
Right.
IT degree. And I don't know, something just kicked in that like, okay, when you're going through this path that's already prescribed to you, like college, whatever. So you don't really think about it. And then once you're near the end of that path, then you're like, okay, like the path that was laid out in front of me is kind of ending now. Now what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So mix that in with like just a lot of other like life, like stresses and growing pains and whatever. And I thought,
Sure.
you know what? Let me give this one good shot to see if I can do something a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit more daring. And if it doesn't work out, whatever, I will just go figure out some other more traditional path. So
I love
that
that.
was 2016 or something like that. Yeah, 2016. And the major sort of switch that I did, or the leap that I took, was quitting my part-time job. I went from like working more days, and then I went fully part-time, just like weekends only while I went to
Yeah.
school. And then I fully quit my part-time retail job and spent, I would say, that first year like doing a bunch of random odd jobs, freelance. And I actually started like a couple businesses. I started like a Snapchat was doing those geo filter things.
Yes. Oh
And
my gosh. Yeah. Wow. I totally
yeah,
forgot about that.
that was like, it was in beta mode. It wasn't really like people didn't know what it was. And I thought, oh my gosh, like every single business and person on earth needs one of these. I'm just going to like go door to door. And,
Collect my millions.
yeah, I really thought like, oh, I found something so big here. And I did do that business for a couple months. I did, made a couple $100 here and there. Maybe the whole thing made a couple $1,000. But where am I? From that business,
Yeah.
I met and connected with someone who wanted to hire me to just do their social media completely for their like they had an energy drink brand that they were trying to do.
It's random. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought, okay, great, because this will help. I still was paying my way through college. Basically, here's a key thing for anyone listening. Like,
Yeah.
the thing that helped me take the leap to quit my part-time job was I just thought, okay, I'm here like 3 days a week, 8 hours. I thought, and how much am I making, in that weekend, whatever, a couple $100.
Right.
I thought if I work on something of my own idea for 8 hours a day, seriously, like I clock in, I treat it seriously and like work hard for the whole day for days straight, I can at least make like roughly a similar amount of money as the part-time
Love
job,
that.
retail job. That was like my initial leap of like taking my foot off that and putting my foot here. So just that was the thing that helped me transition. And sorry if I'm talking a lot. It just gets convoluted.
No, dude, that's great. This is the best stuff about it. You know what I mean? Like, I say we, myself and my brother, we were in a very similar kind of spot. You know what I mean? At some point, you're just like, listen, I could keep doing this thing for someone else that sucks, or I could really focus and see, if I can keep the lights on doing my own thing. And so I love that leap, that sort of like, all right, listen, but also partnering that. I love what you said about clocking in and clocking out, right? And it's treating it like a business. This is serious. You know what I mean? I need to take this seriously, or the lights go off and I'm back in a cubicle, or that kind of stuff. So no, I love that. So talk to me about, you took the leap, right, out on that part-time job, right? What did you do in that first year of like treating it seriously? Like what was helping keep the lights on? You know what I mean? Like, where was your YouTube channel at that point? Like, subscriber wise, like where did you find revenue early on as you were kind of kicking into gear?
Okay. Well, yeah. Another thing I'll say is, for anyone younger that's listening, like it was a great time for me to do that because, I was just living at my parents at home.
Right. No kids.
And yeah, no kids, no,
Yeah.
like really like no obligations. Obviously, like I don't want to make it sound like one of those stories where it's like, see how this guy did it. He had a trust fund.
Right.
I mean, I had that taken care of, but it's like I was paying my own way through school. No one was helping me with that. And I was just and I was working and I wasn't really a burden, but I obviously didn't have like the stress of a mortgage or whatever.
I totally get that too. Yeah, when I graduated, I lived in my parents' basement for like the first like 12 some odd months or something like that, while we were kind of kicking our own thing out too, right? It was kind of the same thing. So yeah, I like the idea. It's like
Yeah.
I wasn't really a huge burden, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like I had some help at that point, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
when you're kicking it off.
Yeah, so there's that, but I mean, regardless, the other thing that kind of gave me some motivation and hope was, in the meanwhile, just as a hobby, I had grown the YouTube channel. Like, for some reason, I just started posting Photoshop tutorials, and
Yeah.
I had grown the YouTube channel to like 20 to, I forgot what it was. It was like 20 to 50,000 subscribers, like
Nice.
a decent amount, for
Yeah.
just a hobby. And I was making a couple $100 a month off of that from
Nice.
YouTube ads back then. And so that
Yep.
was like, it didn't amount to much, but it was a nice motivation, and like a little, like, it helped me see the light that, like, maybe
Oh,
I could,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah. You get that
So
first thing, we always talk about, like, one of the things we always talk about here, right, is that first sale moment. You know what I mean? You get that first time somebody decides to pay you to do something, right? Or for you in that case, right? The first time YouTube sends you that check. Yeah, it's just enough, right? It's that motivation you need to see, like, wow, this could be something, right? And kind of keep going. So I love
Yeah.
that. Anyway, you were saying.
Well, no, I think the first check was like $5 or $2 or something, and then they don't pay.
Do you still have
They
it?
don't
Or did
pay
catch
you.
it? You probably needed it.
No, it wasn't I did have some physical
Okay,
checks.
yeah.
I don't know where they went,
Yeah.
but they don't pay you until you reach $100 threshold, or at least back
Okay.
then that's what it
Right.
was.
Yeah.
And so it took like months and months, but I remember that the first
That's
one, it did feel like free money. So
Oh,
yes,
for
I
sure.
probably like,
Yeah.
I worked a lot for it, but I was like, wait, like, what? This is completely free money.
I
And
freaking love that. That's awesome.
yeah. So like you said, the first year. So after quitting my job, like, I wasn't just full on doing the YouTube thing yet. I was like kicking around on this Snapchat business.
Right.
And then I took on that, like, social media manager role
Yeah.
for that other business, and that was actually nice. That was it was a well needed, like, that I was getting physical checks every 2 weeks,
Nice.
of like, I forgot it wasn't too much, but it was like a couple thousand a month or something. It was like
That's what
enough.
you needed. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It
there you
was
go.
it was
Awesome.
just enough to, I did have to take on a tiny bit of student loans just to finish, but
Sure.
it kept me afloat. And
I like that.
but what happened with that job was, I was the first like month or two, they said, let's take you on under like a, what's the word, like a
Like an
training.
apprentice kind of deal. Or
Yeah,
like a
sort
temporary
of sort
kind
of
gig.
like,
Yeah.
here's like let's see if you can do it, and we'll start at this rate, and then we agreed upon a certain rate by after the first month if we decide to proceed.
Nice.
So what happened was, came to that certain date, and all of a sudden the agreed upon rate was like, well, we actually decided we're going to negotiate you to do. They basically tried to, like,
Oh, snap. They're going to
yeah.
lowball you?
not in lowball, but they said,
Right.
well, it wasn't the agreed upon rate anymore.
Right.
And they said, well, we only want to do this.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I was like, at that, it wasn't really that far off, but I just thought, okay, well, we already agreed upon it, and I just worked for like a month. And
Right.
so then at that point I was like, no, like, I basically walked away from, I stood my ground on the negotiation and said, well, if you guys want to continue, that is the rate. If not, that's fine. Never heard from them again. Never even, they never, they never even asked for their passwords back. They never even asked for,
Wow. So do you still have access to their Twitter? Like, how does that work?
no, I just, like, at a certain point, I just like logged out of everything, and like,
That's awesome.
but like, I think what happened was, like, the couple people that were in on that business, like, I don't know what happened between them, but maybe the guy that was working with me didn't care anymore. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Anyways, that situation was the catalyst to be like, I'm
Yes.
sick of like, it kind of like bothered me that they would do that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I'm sick of working for other people. and I thought, well, at this point I had been on a hiatus with the YouTube channel, like on and off,
Okay.
like a
Yep.
lot. I hadn't been working straight through, because
Sure.
work, life, school. And I thought, why did I ever stop working on my YouTube channel? I
Right.
thought
Yeah. Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
sort of collecting dust, and I thought that was a pretty cool thing. And I started reading all this stuff online, all this business and entrepreneurial stuff, and started reading all these books again. And I basically just started like feeding myself all this information. And and then I said, okay, let me make a plan to get to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, or I'm just gonna post every day, and and I'm just gonna like treat this like really seriously and work extremely hard at it. And if I can't make some sort of traction or progress by the time I
Right.
graduate, then I'll just go
Let him out.
figure out what to do with my degree.
I dig it. I love that.
It's,
Awesome.
and it did end up working.
That's great, dude. That's freaking awesome. Clearly, here we are, right? Yeah, I love that. I love the idea of like, listen, I'm going to take this super seriously. And, that's obviously something, we hear a lot of, and it's just sort of, it's the human nature. The human nature aspect of it says you see these people that are successful and you think, man, it'd be so sick. I bet their life is like a dream. You know what I mean? And then I love hearing the stories about the nitty gritty reality of the situation where you're like, no, I worked my freaking pants off for like a year, you know what I mean? And like proved what's out here. And now here I am years later. I'm sure still working very, very hard. Right. But I love that kind of initial story of like, listen, I'm going to do what it takes. I'm going to see what this kind of like, it does this have legs, and then kind of make the decision from there. So I love it. I guess let's fast forward then a little bit, right? Let's say like you got to that point and you are, YouTube channel's kind of growing, you're doing your own thing. This is it for you, and this is your job. This is what it does. Like at what point in there did you like, I don't know, I guess at what point in there, like, did you get a chance to sort of understand like this could have legs, this could really be something not only for right now, but sort of like long-term, like what was like I don't know, like I can really do this kind of moment.
So I think the number one most important thing that turned it into a legitimate business was developing my first product and selling my first product.
Awesome. So which one was your first product? Yeah.
Okay, so this also goes back because technically I had actually sold products online before, like on my earlier phase of my YouTube channel.
Love it.
I didn't have my own website, but I had experience
Sure.
selling digital assets. I had made this thing called 101 Photoshop actions. I don't think it
Nice.
exists anymore, but I sold it on this other third-party website that they determine the price and they take half the sale for hosting it on
Brutal.
their thing. And the price that they determine was like, $6, $7.
Wow.
Which is
cheap.
It's cheap, and then after that, it's like you get $3 in your
You
pocket.
get nothing.
So,
here you go. Right. Yeah.
well, I mean, as a teenager, it's like cool. I made like a couple $1,000 off of these Photoshop sort of presets that I made.
Yep.
But eventually, I remember I took my stuff off that site because I thought this is more valuable than what this site is doing,
Heck
and
yeah.
I took it off there. And so when I went to make my first product, it was actually color grading LUTs. They're called LUTs, which stands for lookup table. It's like it's like a preset color filters for video, which I'd say they were pretty popular around that time, and they still are, but there was just like a want more for them. There's a ton now, I think, a ton of resources. But anyways, what I did was I sort of took the Photoshop thing, and the Photoshop thing originally was like 100 different color effects, but just for photos. I reworked it and I pared it down to like the top 20, 25-ish. I think
I
it
love
was
that.
21.
Like your best ones, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, and I converted them so that they could work for video or photo.
Sick.
And that was my first product I released. And like you were saying earlier, the first sale moment, I clearly remember.
Yeah.
I was driving. I think I went to the gym or something, and I was sitting in the cafe at the gym, and I checked my phone after I launched the product, and I saw like the order screen, like someone bought your thing, and the prices that So I went with $49.99 for my packs that I do,
Right.
and that's kind of the price that I've stuck with. Yeah, if you want, you could
I
show
was
the
gonna say, yeah,
shop.
anybody should head over to justinodisho.com. You guys can check out on the shop page now. Of course, now you have sort of a suite of all these things, right? But a bunch
Yeah.
of video presets, a bunch of editing kind of preset stuff that you guys sell. And yeah, $49.99 is definitely clearly worked for you and stuck, right? It looks like that's pretty much the cost of just about everything you have.
Yeah, well, I do try to make the things that I sell worth it. So
For sure.
like I offer bundle deals. So like if you get like two, you'll get 10. I forgot what the exact amount. It's like two is 10%, three is 15, four is 20. So the more stuff you buy together, the you'll get a discount for it.
Love that.
But also like for example, the other pack that you see there, which is my real first like breakthrough product. Like the Luts did okay, and
Right.
they let me know like that first sale is crazy. It's like okay, it just also felt like free money, even though it
Dude,
wasn't. I spent
it almost feels like stealing. It's like, like, is someone gonna come take this from me? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
it didn't feel like stealing, but the cool thing about digital products is that there's no shipping, there's no
Heck yeah.
restocking, there's no like there's PayPal fees and there's my website hosting fees and my
Yeah.
servers, but for the most part it's like going straight to me, and
Yeah.
also like I don't have to ship it, so like it just is set online and it's selling, and
Yep.
I try to make it like it's really hard to sell these sort of things because I already teach all of it for free on my channel, and
Sure. Yep.
so I tried to make things that would be worth it. So for example, like you said earlier, like some of my videos, like my zoom transitions and my all my pushes and all these things. I mean, I've made about 1,000 videos on my channel.
Sure.
Well,
Yep.
what I did was I went through and I picked out like the best 100 unique transitions, and then I
Love
took
it.
them all and I packaged them up neatly into their own presets so that people could just drag and drop them. And so yeah, you could just watch my video and do it if you want. That's nice. So people don't have to buy if they don't have the money or they're just starting. But if you want to save the time of going through, hundreds of videos and doing step by step, which, time is money for a lot of people in their
Oh
video
yeah.
production, then I do think this is a good product and it's fair and it's worth it. And so I think all in all, it's like a win-win for whether you want to just watch it for free on the YouTube channel. I offer that service, and you want to learn and do it from scratch DIY. Whether you want to just save time, you're editing a wedding video or a music video or something, and the budget that you're charging the client is $1,000, so $50 like for the cost here, and you can use these packs forever. That's like a win-win. Or whether you don't want it at all, it's not like medicine, like
Yeah.
so I never feel bad about charging for these products. That I do think that I've put something worth it together,
I
and
love that.
I do teach so much for free, but
I really do
um,
love that because again, another thing that we hear all the time, you know what I mean, is people who are just starting out. They're like, man, I don't know if I can charge for this kind of stuff because I teach it for free, or you could piece this together by reading 1,000 blog posts, or what. It's just always kind of that thing. It's the internet, right? You can probably find just about anything. But I love that. I love that you give so freely, you create and you teach and you do so much, right? That clearly people are they're pumped. I mean, I'm sure that's a big piece of your revenue in terms of just selling these things that someone could find elsewhere. But just taking that bold step of making it available, packaging it up, right, and giving something away for free is clearly your people eat that stuff up. So that's really awesome. I love that.
yeah,
Absolutely love
and
that.
I would say like for anyone thinking like that, like yeah, to me, I might think like, oh, you could just follow the Zoom transition tutorial
Right.
and then you could just do. It's actually kind of hard to turn that into a preset. Like
Oh, for sure.
I had to tinker with it a lot and like make it so that you could drag it on clip A and clip B and cut it in half at the right keyframe. But a lot of people, they watch the video and they think like, sometimes I'll get an email like, hey, like I'm trying to watch this thing. I really don't know what I'm doing in After Effects, but like I need this
I
this
want that
template for.
transition. I don't have the time. I can't do. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like they like either want to just hire me to do it for them or like something else. Like they don't want to sit there and do it. So I would
Yeah.
just tell anyone like who's trying to make their own product, or I don't know who's listening, but like you don't discount yourself so quickly, and don't like discount what the potential customer might want or need. Like sometimes even myself, I find sometimes like I want to just like pay someone to just do it for me because I have to do something else, you know?
I love that. Oh, 100%, man. Time is money. You know what I mean? Like that's a big, big thing. And so, no, I love that. That's freaking awesome. And clearly those presets and everything are something that your audience gobbles up. So it's the proof is right there. I absolutely love that. So awesome. Well, fast forward us to now, like here you are now, you are several years into this thing. You're about to eclipse 1 million subscribers. You know what I mean? Like what does your business look like now? Is it you and a team? Where is the revenue coming from? What have been like the big opportunities that have, helped take you to the next level? Just like what's changed since sort of like I launched and it's here and it's real and here we are now and this is your life. This is what you do.
Sure, yeah. So it's still just me.
Awesome.
I probably could have someone helping or someone. It just hasn't been the right scenario or time to do that. But the number one things I'd say is like it's really, really hard to make it just on YouTube views and advertising revenue share alone. It's really going to be like 10 times easier for you, maybe 100 times easier if you just come up with like instead of focusing on followers and views, focus on products and maybe not even services, but products and services, but especially products. Like you can, it is the number one most important thing. And even myself, I haven't done it enough, but like, I think it's like the most important thing you can do is focus on creating a good product that people need that could help, and then building audience around that at the same time. But
love that.
Because for every dollar that YouTube gives you for getting all these tens of thousands of views, or wherever, if you post on Twitter or your own blog, like you could just be directly transacting with someone else directly and getting 10 to 50 times that from just what YouTube will share with you for the advertising clicks. So
that is a big statement. It is one of those things that, we have a lot of big YouTube folks who sell their stuff and their products and stuff on SamCart like that, right? And we hear that a lot, right? But that's such a big statement. I want you to glaze over that because all the time we hear from people who are starting out like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna get a channel with 100,000 people, right? And just kind of live off the YouTube ad revenue. And I love that, you're as upfront as you are about, no, let's flip that on its head. Let's make awesome stuff. Let's do stuff that you control, right? That's more sort of in your own hands and you control, and make these awesome products and offer them up, and building an audience around that to sort of support the products instead of thinking, how can I help YouTube, send me more dollars? I absolutely love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And to be fair, like now it's getting more and more like where you can make a living off of ad revenue. And there are certain exceptions where like they just get so many views and it is still like a good, portion of my revenue, but between, and also like some people, instead of doing their products, like they focus more on working with brands. My brand is less of like a personality face brand. It's more of like people come for the educational content and software help. But like some of the other big opportunities I've had is working with brands like Adobe directly, working with brands like just recently Dell and Best Buy. And these sponsor opportunities maybe they'll only come a couple times a year, but when they do come, they can make up for many months of revenue or boost up that quarter
for sure
quite a bit. So, but in general, like if you have multiple streams of income, as everyone always says, but like you're getting all this traffic coming in and like a funnel, and if you imagine it like a fruit, you want to squeeze the most juice out of it. So if you're getting millions and millions of views or whatever, tens of thousands, like numbers get big online quite easily. And if you're getting all these views and all you're doing is sharing the revenue off the ads, then you're letting a lot of juice, be left unsqueezed. Whereas if you're selling your own products, you're doing services, coaching, consulting, whatever, working with brands, affiliate marketing and linking. Like now you've added like 4 or 5 more areas of trying to squeeze out. And that's really what you need to do if you want to survive as a content creator, because, yeah, you might not everyone is going to get to 1 million subscribers, but even that, like, you might think like, oh, this person has 250,000 subscribers, they're rich. But a
They
lot
made
of
it.
times,
Yeah.
like, people can have 500,000 subscribers on some of these platforms and still need to be working a job because they haven't been able to monetize that, or
Yeah.
maybe they make a type of content that isn't advertiser friendly and they don't sell a product, and it's like they're famous online or they have a big network and a large following, but it doesn't pay the bills
Absolutely.
for
Yeah.
them. So
Absolutely. No, I love that. That is so glad to share more of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? That we see that story repeated all the time. I had a buddy of mine who had almost, it was a little under 2 million subscribers, a really big basketball channel. It's one of the biggest basketball training channels out there. And his breakdown essentially of his like revenue or whatever was like 3% or like 4 or 5%, something in there was his YouTube ad revenue, and like 90% was his own product sales. And then he had some brand, he did some kind of stuff, some of the stuff you're talking about too. But I love that analogy about squeezing all the juice you can out of it. You have all this, all these awesome, traffic and eyeballs and all that kind of stuff, and making sure that you're kind of getting multiple bites at the apple there, you know what I mean, is such an important thing. I absolutely love that. That's great. So awesome. Well, let's switch gears. Let's think about this for a second. So what would you say? You've obviously been involved in the YouTube game for a really, really long time. It's funny to think like, I don't know, I kind of feel like a weird old, like grizzled veteran of like digital sales and stuff like that, because I've been doing this for like a decade. And like, you've been doing it for the same, it's like, it's a good long amount of time. For someone now here, and of course, at the time of this recording, we're sort of beginning of 2022 is when we're talking right now. I'm trying to get into the YouTube game. I want to build my audience. I want to do those kind of things. Give me like your biggest piece of advice and your biggest like, hey, watch out for this roadblock type thing. It's like, what would you tell someone who's like, I'm trying to crack into it now? Like, what would your advice be?
Okay, again, yeah, this is going to depend on so much, but I think the
Sure,
thing
I'm trying to simplify as much as we possibly can. It should be caveat to everybody listening. I'm sure it varies wildly based on audience and all that jazz.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you see, we just talked about all this random story and stuff I did for the past 30 minutes. So you probably have all your random stuff in life.
Of course.
But
Yep.
but like, think about that thing I just said about the products. Like, maybe you're just doing this as a hobby, but if you want to treat it as like a business, you want to go for it full time, like really, really think about what we just said about like how much more like less upside down you're going to be approaching it if you like think about the product side and what you and building around that. And then the other thing is like you have to make content and you have to iterate quickly. So what broke me through was making videos every single day for like months and months and months. I think I posted like 100 or 200 videos in a row. Some days I was even doing 2 a day.
That's insane. That's
And
awesome.
there's just like a certain level of momentum that you need and certain level of like skill. It's like basketball, as you just said, like, if you want to get better at a free throw, like you're not going to get better by like shooting a free throw like a couple times, like every weekend, like,
right.
And I would say I do have sort of an innate talent or something from just growing up on the internet. And like, I just knew how to use these forms, and I knew what people might click on, and I knew what might be a good topic. So it's hard to say like anyone can do it, but if you approach it in those ways and you think you have the knack for it, then, and also leverage like, different platforms. Like nowadays there's TikTok that wasn't around, and sometimes there's different opportunities floating around, but I don't know. DM me for private coaching.
There you go. I was gonna say that's great. All right. So what about name like one thing you feel like you see either beginners or even, I don't know, I guess bigger channels too, right? But what do you see people doing wrong on YouTube? What's the kind of stuff you feel like is like a lot of people are wasting their time, right? Trying to build audiences, trying to monetize better, doing this thing now.
Oh man. I don't know because I don't really study like, you know, I don't
You're
really
like you're in your
do
zone. You know what I mean,
case.
you're focused on your
No,
stuff.
I watch a ton of different genres and channels. Like
Mhm.
um, I think some people just, like I said, they don't move fast enough or they don't iterate like
Right.
quickly. Like you're not gonna you're not gonna figure out what's gonna work by posting like a couple videos a month. And then if you think about that, like let's say you posted 2 videos this month and then times that by a whole year, that's like, maybe you posted 10, 20 videos the whole year. And it's
Right.
like, it's just not enough to create that momentum. And all of a sudden, like 5 years could pass by and you've
Yeah.
posted like, it really does, it really is all about the content and the catalog, I think.
Mhm.
And, like I used to have this guy that would DM me every couple months and say like, I'm going to start my channel back up. I just got to write the script or,
Right.
I just didn't write the script because I got busy with this thing. But I think, what do you think about this idea? And just years and years, and they just never posted the video. So I don't know. You just gotta dive into it, I think.
100%. No, I love that. And there's so much truth to what you just said, that one kind of interchange with that guy. I mean, that's the human condition. You know what I mean? Like that's just like we are innately procrastinating type folks. You know what I mean? I think I love how, your advice essentially is just move. Your advice essentially just start creating, get out there and just start making stuff. And so I love that. That's freaking awesome. So let's look ahead for you, right? What sorts of things are you focused on? And again, not necessarily even just sort of like what videos you're going to go post next, or what's the newest thing in Adobe Photoshop or Premiere or something. But for you as a creator, as a business owner, I mean, what are the things that you're looking forward to, that you're focused on in the next 12, 18 months?
Sure. So yeah, I've been in a really weird spot this past year or 6 months. Things have been kind of slow because, I've been moving, I'm setting up a new office and I've got all my stuff all over the place. So
Awesome.
it's just been, and I've just other life stuff.
Yeah,
I've had dramatically less time to like just be in the zone and
sure.
be in a regular routine, but I'm kind of getting back into it. But yeah, I do look forward to crossing that 1 million subscribers, and I hope to do that just by continuing to post,
Yes, sir.
hundreds of more videos. I do remind myself that, not to rest on my laurels,
Mm.
so to speak, because there's always new products and new things I could be developing. And what I found on the internet is like, it's always going, it's always changing. When you think it's too late, it's probably still early. And then like,
Mm.
I could stop now and be forgotten about. And then like, 100 million more people want to learn Adobe, and then it just like goes on to some other thing. There's
Right.
always like more coming that you don't realize, especially with like the newer generation growing up. Like, and if you look at the numbers of Adobe users and just in general, like you could see around 2017 and 2018. I don't know how much had to do with all the lockdowns and everything, but like there was a dramatic spike of people wanting to learn this stuff. And
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I think just in general, as far as content and opportunity like this is involved, like we're on the cusp of like some sort of exponential curve. And so not to like, yeah, it's been like a decade I've been doing this stuff, so I
Yeah.
might feel like ready to retire.
Sure.
I
Yeah. Do
mean,
something
like
else. Right. Yep.
retire from the, like, what else is there? But
Yep.
in reality, we might still just be on the beginning slope of this exponential like
Of course.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you too. Just from our end of things, what I mean, just watching creators sell their stuff online, and just in every possible idea, every possible product and niche and whatever that you could possibly think of is being sold on SamCart. And everybody says the same thing. Everybody says, just when I think there's not any more people to go reach, or not any more people show up. You know what I mean? I think, yeah, I think it's just that sort of thing, and doing what you do online, and doing, the education piece, whether it's in Adobe, or whether it's baseball training, or whether it's getting your kids to go to sleep, or, it's like every single one of these things. I just think the exact same thing is true. More and more people are headed to the internet to learn about this kind of stuff, leaving classrooms and getting, professional level education from YouTube channels, and things like that. So, yeah, completely agree. I love that.
Yeah. It's all about just continuing to, produce content, I think. Unless I always relate it to music. Like, yeah, there are like some artists that just made like one album and then they died or something, and then they're like forever, like have this legendary legacy that keeps growing and growing. But you think about the artists that have remained relevant, like let's say a controversial figure like Kanye West,
There
love
you
him
go.
or hate
Yeah.
him, like continues to put out album after album after, even though you might say like his best work is long behind him, he could have retired, but like continues to put out like album and album and album and album. And that's
Absolutely.
how I think, you retain this sort, you keep up with what's going on. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
I
wanted
think
to
that's why
share one
Kanye has
story.
like, oh, sorry. I was just saying, I think that's
Oh
why
no, go
Kanye
ahead.
has fans that are like 40 and fans that are like 12. I was like, I was skiing this weekend. We're like out and so like that. And there's like these little kids buzzing by me, like rocking Kanye on like speakers on their backpack and stuff. And I totally agree with you, man. I think that's exactly right. I think the idea that love him or hate him, the idea that dude has just continued to pump stuff out, just has grown his audience and grown his reach and turned him into what he is. But yeah, anyway, you were saying.
And actually with that example too, like love him or hate him, there, if you think about it, how did he actually make most of his money? Well, after he leveraged like his fame, product, like he made his
Yes.
money from product, from his shoes.
Yep.
And like, yes, he's probably already made a ton of money off of music and whatever. But if you look at what made him the most, is his Yeezy clothing and his Yeezy shoes.
Heck yeah.
And I'm not some like huge like Kanye fan. I am a Kanye fan, but like it's not like my whole life. But that's just one. That's one example that demonstrates exactly what I'm trying to say, even at a higher level. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
he could be the biggest artist on earth at a certain time, have all these number one songs, go on tour around the world. Product is just such a more direct, like, I sell you this good, you exchange me the money sort of service.
I love that. Yeah, it's like whether
scales.
it's you and your YouTube channel, whether it's us in our business, whether it's freaking Kanye with a bunch of extra zeros at the end, right? I love that. I think 100% that lesson applies to whoever is out there trying to start their own creator-based business, that kind of thing. I think product is hugely, hugely important, and I love that for sure. So I cut you off before. You were saying you had one more.
Oh no. Well, there was a story I forgot to say about like another thing that helped me realize that I could take the leap that is related to product. Is I remember I was sitting in the back of one of my classrooms. I don't even remember what class it was, and I never really paid attention much. But
Yeah, nobody knows.
I still have this notebook somewhere, but I was doing some doodles and scribbling, like planning like my channel before everything like took off. And I just remember, so there's two books that I read that one of them was Tim Ferriss' 4 Hour Work Week, which
Oh yeah, for sure.
it's kind of cringe now, but
It's funny how it kind of changed, right? It did. It was like, it was it, man. And now it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, I kind of bought into that. Yeah, totally.
there's this whole like entrepreneurial thing that you can get trapped into, but
Yep.
there was this section in there about like there was something in there about sales and pricing. It's kind of what helped me go for that $49.99 price.
Yep.
And then there was another book, I forgot what it was, but I wrote down, there's another good article. It's called 1,000 True Fans by Kevin Kelly. These are all like, you hear them a bunch of times.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep.
But I wrote down on this notebook, like, okay, 50 times 1,000, and that's 50,000.
I love it.
Or 50 times 2,000, that's 100,000. And it's that number, 1,000, just 1,000 sales. It seems attainable, especially when numbers online get big. Like even as a hobby, I was already had like tens of thousands of subscribers and was getting hundreds of thousands of views. So all you got to think about is, okay, how can I make like 2 sales a day or 1 sale a day out of like thousands of potential viewers coming to the site? Just 1 sale a day plus a little bit of ad revenue plus a little bit, whatever. That's just as much as your retail job, or that's just enough. That's enough to be a full-time salary.
I love that.
But yeah, I have that notebook somewhere, but If you
Yeah,
just do
yeah,
the
yeah.
numbers and plan, it's not so out of reach when you're thinking with products.
I love that. 100%. Awesome. Justin, thank you so much for coming out. Thanks for just sharing all this awesome stuff. I mean, it's been so fun just to get a sense of, what you're doing and getting a kind of a look behind into what you have going on. I think you have an awesome way of sort of simplifying it and making it seem relatable, attainable. You know what I mean? I think that's lost on a lot of people who have accomplished what you've accomplished. So I absolutely love that. Let everybody know, everybody who's watching, let them know where to go check you out, where to find more about your stuff, where to maybe check out your products if that's something they're interested in. Where should everybody go to find you?
Sure, you can go to justinodisho.com. That's justinodisho.com. There you could check out links to my YouTube channel, my podcast. You could check out my shop to see what we've been talking about. Even if you're not into video editing, you kind of see like the operations of the business.
See those
And
products.
you could follow. You could subscribe to the YouTube channel, and there's hundreds, almost 1,000 videos on there of different free educational things. And if you want to reach out to me, you could follow on Instagram or Twitter at Justin Odisho. I'm really easy to DM, but yeah, that's like 100 ways to reach me. I'm
That's
easy
what I
to
was gonna
reach.
say. Yeah, that's it. Everybody should do all of those things and go check out what Justin's got going on. And yeah, dude, thanks so much for coming out. Really, really had an awesome time chatting about all this stuff. Thanks for sharing everything, and best of luck as you finish up that climb to 1 million subscribers and beyond. Everybody, justinodisho.com. You guys can go check him out. Justin, thanks again for coming out, dude. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, guys. That was awesome.